Hello to you today. I'm back with this easy card that I've done for a challenge that I'll be hosting tonight at Split Coast Stampers. It's an Easter card that I'm making, and I'm working on the background piece presently with alcohol inks and Yupo paper. And I've first on the Yupo, I've swirled around some alcohol blending solution, and I'm adding in the alcohol inks in Sunshine Yellow, Sunset Orange, Limeade, and Citrus. And I kind of swirl them around, and I'm also blowing them with the Tim Holtz Distress Marker Spritzer. It just makes it so I don't have to blow through a straw, that's all. And it works quite well. So, and as I'm going to be stamping with a daffodil stamp, I want to concentrate on the yellow and oranges up at the top and some greens towards the bottom of the piece. So I'm just kind of working through that end. I'm also going to be using the alcohol lifted ink or lift ink on this card, and Ranger's jet black dye ink as well, as I'll be doing two florals, one for the inside and one for the outside of the card. So I'm just finishing up here with the background. I waited a little bit too long for adding in the greens, and I end up with a little bit of a watermark or an alcohol mark, which is what you get when you're doing the wet to dry. The same type of idea as watercoloring. You get blooms in watercolor, and here you get these hard black lines, which I don't particularly like. But in any event, it ends up working out okay. So, for some reason, it takes forever for this to get to the point where I want it. I don't know why. Anyway, moving on. I'm adding in a little bit more of the orange there and the yellow, trying to bring it down a bit. And I find with putting the blending solution on first in the background, it allows the inks, the alcohol inks, to not dry as quickly, and I still got the hard line, even though I've got that extra time for drying. So I move on now in my Misty, and I'm going to stamp using the Penny Black Daffodil Dance stamp and my alcohol lift ink. And I'm making sure I've got good coverage on the stamp for this. And you'll notice that my panel is slightly out from the edge of the Misty, and that's because I want a shadow. And you'll see that better when I stamp the flower with the black ink, which for some reason I didn't have the camera on, so you don't actually see me stamp with the black ink. These are these mistakes that I continue to make. In any event, it's just that part that I missed, but you get the idea. So I've stamped here. I made sure that it's, yes, you can see it all there. And then I stamp onto the cardstock. Make sure, press down, so make sure I get good coverage onto the cardstock. It's still faint, but it's I think it's very pretty. The yellow doesn't come out as bright as the other colors, but if I had more yellow on it, it certainly would, but I didn't. I liked it the way I have it with the yellow. So those are the two pieces, and I've die cut them both using my Penny Black Elegant Stitching die. But you can see here the shadow that goes to the right of the black stamped part of the daffodil. So it looks quite nice in real life. But I've used the archival ink jet black, as you can see there, from Ranger. And for the inside of the card, I used a stamp set from Lawn Fawn. I think it's yeah, it's Extra Amazing Easter is what it's called. But I like the Happy Easter sentiment that it had. And it had a little, of course, it had a little bird, so I stamped it inside the card as well. And I used the Wendy Vecchi Make Art dye ink in Poppy to do the stamping for this. And I just colored the bird with Copics just because they were handy. I mean, it could be done with pencils as well to make it, colored pencils to make it super easy. So, and I just thought it added a bit of, whimsy on the inside of the card. A little bit harder to do on the front of the card, but it's certainly easy to do that inside the card. I also used some Nouveau crystal drops and jewel drops on the finished card. That happens rather quickly towards the end. But here I'm just coloring up, not doing any fancy coloring on the little birdie. I'm just using 2 yellows and a orange color for the beak. And just kind of cute addition to the inside of the card. And that's the set from Lawn Fawn. It's quite a cute set, the bunnies and the basket and the extra eggs. So I'll be definitely using that for something else. And I put the card together off camera. I don't want to bore you with the details of that. It's just attached with my tape gun. So this is the finished outside of the card before I put on the jewel drops. And then the inside of the card. So I think it worked out pretty well. I added these. Now when I add these jewel, these are the clear ones. And I also add the crystal drops in the ripened pumpkin. And I'm using limoncello and orange marmalade as well in the Nouveau Jewel drops. And then I kind of smack my card on the table or on something, a hard surface, so that they will spread out and not stay stuck up in the air. So that's all I've done to finish. It's a very simple, fast, easy card to share with you. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I thank you for dropping in and having a look. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.